presentation of investment report quarterly ending June 30th, 2014, and Mr. Spencer Morrison, and this is just for note and file report only, so it does not need any action.
Not really, actually. There's going to be a lot of questions on this item, on the test.
Good evening,
Mr. Morrison,
Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Again, my name is Spencer Morrison. I'm your elected city treasurer. And I just thought I would mention real quick for the audience, real briefly what I do and why I'm presenting this. So the city holds quite a bit of pooled cash or cash-like securities. And so somebody needs to be the steward of those and make sure they're being invested according to our very strict and narrowly defined investment policy, and just safeguard the city's funds so that we can fund the projects that you want to see happen in your city. So, with that, okay, this is the Treasurer's Quarterly Investment Report for the fourth quarter, so that would be the months of April through June 2014. As you can see that the portfolio value is $83.2 million. 79.1 million of that is city held, and 3.9 million is trustee held. The trustee holds these in an agreement with bondholders, so basically takes the spending control out of the city's hands. Part of our agreement with the bondholders. Includes this 83.2 million also includes 1.1 million of Sutter Butte Flood Control Agency funds. The Flood Control Agency is repairing the levees right now, I think currently on the north end of the city limits. And so we administer their financials as well. This is a $1.5 million net decrease from last quarter. Some of the more significant items that happened this quarter would be property tax remittance. So we received our second property tax remittance, and debt service payments on various bonds. And we're in the building season, so there was quite a bit of capital outflow for capital improvement projects. 12 investments matured or sold, and 6 were purchased, and the average yield of the investments that were sold was 0.78%, and the average yield purchased was 0.89%. So this, even though those are very, very, very small numbers, it is encouraging because these the trend has been going downward for my entire tenure here, which is about a year and a half. The of the debt service, I should say the property tax. The property tax we brought in $7.3 million. From homes and other unsecured property. And the debt service was about $3.5 million. Includes redevelopment agency bonds, pension obligation bonds, the Gaucher Park debt, which is for the aquatic center with the slide and everything over in Gaucher Park, and the fire station number 4 lease, which helped fund the newest fire station. This is a pie chart of the city-held funds. So this was the 79 million. As you can see, it's pretty well distributed across different types of holdings. These are mostly cash and bonds. The city is not allowed by our policy and by law to invest in stocks like you might see your parents or your family being invested in. But we are allowed to hold corporate bonds. So Walmart and John Deere and Toyota and Honda, they all sell bonds, which is just basically a way to borrow money. And so we purchase those bonds and earn a meager, a very small amount of interest. And about 19% of those of our total holdings of the 79 million is in these corporate bonds. About 26% is in agency bonds, which would be federal agency bonds, and about 11% in treasuries, which are the U.S. government borrowing money from us. And then we have about 7% in municipal and state bonds, which is the same, cities and cities and like agencies, and the state borrowing money from us. Total amount of bonds in our portfolio is 63%. Other investments are in very liquid, which means that we can pull the money out and use it right now, readily, today or tomorrow. Would be in a investment fund called LAIF, Local Agency Investment Fund, which is run by the state. And then that's 23%, and cash and money market funds and cash-like investments is about 13%, and all 37% is a non-bond or more cash and money market type investments. My last slide is going to be a little tricky to see, but I'm just going to explain what you're looking at, and that is the investment, the yield or the rates for the agencies and treasury bonds that I spoke of that we hold quite a bit of. We're always looking at and watching the news and trying to find out when we might be earning more interest on these investments, and that's important to us because we can take those interest earnings and turn around and use them to pay for city services. And so I looked at this, put together this slide, and looked at the treasuries and agencies yield from exactly a year ago, and noticed that the news and the graphs all looked exactly the same as now. And a year ago, I came to this council and I said, you know, there might be a light at the end of the tunnel. The investors out there are really optimistic and they're really feeling good about things. And that's sort of what the news is today, 1 year later. So it must be just the cycle for the end of spring and the beginning of summer. But there, you can sort of see it in these graphs, and I have I can just say I put big red arrows on the points I want to draw your attention to. I just looked at the 1% spot right here in the so about 3 months ago, and I looked at about the 1% yield here. This is actually, I'm using more current date in August, and the investments that we have, we're limited to 5 years, so we can't invest any farther out than 5 years in these bonds. And what I'm showing with this slide is that we're actually moving a little bit to the left to get up to that 1% mark. So the shorter maturity bonds are starting to just increase just a little bit in rates and in yield. So it just happens to be exactly what we're doing with our money right now. As the interest rates seem to be climbing just a little bit, the city is investing on more short term to not get locked into lower rates as the rates increase, and that's a strategy that we commonly use. And so with that, I have no further comments. If you have any questions.
Any questions for Spencer at all? Spencer, you've answered all the questions. You did a fantastic job. It's always nice to see that the graphs are finally trending towards a positive direction. So which means our return should be increasing slowly but surely. So thank you very much.
My pleasure.